Your experience in this competition in Champions League, do you think that's going to help you? What will you need going up against a team like Arsenal? We'll need courage, we'll need personality. We'll have to try and do the best, be very motivated. But I think a very important aspect of that is execution when we've prepared for that for this game. Do you think the system with Vinicius in the very important game, was he going to step up to it? I've not talked to him. I don't need to talk to him. He could have played better in the Bernabeu at the weekend, but I don't need to talk to him about that. He's a young lad. He's going to have a great game tomorrow. No doubts about that. You think the dynamic will be different if they're given a penalty? Do you have someone who's the fix taker? Will that change depending on the game? It's something we've thought about it, and we'll manage that tomorrow if the situation arises. There's been a lot of criticism of the team in La Liga, in Champions League. Do you understand that criticism? I can understand if we don't win games, but if we're up against a tough team that are really strong, then if they're good at digging in, sitting deep, it can make things difficult for us. But the only thing we think about is preparing well for every game, managing things, and try to execute tomorrow. Wanted to ask you about Fede Valverde, if he's going to be playing on at left back or in centre midfield. There's a question mark about that. I have a bit of a doubt. Valverde does so many things very well. He can play well in the centre, out on the flank. I'm going to think about that, about how he can contribute the most to the team. 2 seasons ago, in 2023, the team had a similar situation when they were in the quarterfinals of Champions League in La Liga, where they were a few points in front. Do you think you'll win one of these three tournaments you're in this season? The job we have to do is here. We have everything we need to try and win, to fight in every competition we're in until the very end. To win, it's all about putting in the effort. And then if we do that, we can start thinking about next season. Arteta said this morning that Mbappe is someone who is a real leader for Real Madrid. It could be that, a lot of people are tired, that the most important player we have is someone who's tired. No. He supports me, he supports me, and that's what is the most important. The most important thing is that the most important person at the club doesn't get tired. There's been a lot of criticism. How do you relate to that? I've heard the criticism. We shouldn't be thinking about the criticism when we have a game, every 3 days. We didn't do well against Valencia. We've analysed it, we've evaluated it. But not thinking too much about the game at the weekend. The most important thing is the game tomorrow. It's not decisive though, because there's another leg at the Bernabeu.
About Real Madrid's experience in this competition, the fact that you've won so many times, this incredible inner strength and inner belief. How much of an advantage will that be against a team like Arsenal if you get to win? The experience, the inner belief that you have.
The experience in this competition is really important. Really, really important. The experience, the knowledge, because the experience means you are not afraid to play this kind of games that put on you a lot of pressure, because a really important competition, and so this is come si dice eliminatoria in inglese? It's face to face, 800 face to face, and so a lot of pressure on this game. The experience is really important. The fact to have a lot of players that already played this kind of game give to the team, to the players, also to the younger, more confidence.
Carlo, Kiyan Sobhani from Managing Madrid. A lot of the dialogue about tomorrow's game has been about set pieces, specifically Real Madrid being poor defending set pieces this year, Arsenal having strengths, exploiting opponents in set pieces. I'm curious, what do those conversations look like in training? How do you prepare for something like that, a problem like that?
Of course, they are really strong, really dangerous in this situation. We try to defend as better we can. We have also to take in consideration that when we have set pieces, we can create damage, because we scored 3 goals in the last 2 games on set pieces. And so this is important part of the game, and then there is all the rest.
Carles, je voudrais que la Francia quería preguntarte sobre Martin Odegaard. Hace 10 años llegó en el Madrid y
Martin Odegaard was at Madrid 10 years ago. What do you think of his evolution as a player? And I saw him as a real young player. The talent he has now is the same talent he had when he was 17 years old. He's had the character, the courage to go elsewhere, to seek out new experiences, and then become one of the best players in Europe.
Pressure us on sport media. Tomorrow, if Camavinga, Modric, Rudiger injured, get a yellow, they're suspended for the second leg. Does that change how aggressive they can be when they play, or your game plan at all?
No, we are not going to change this for this reason. We know this, but I think if they are not able to play in Madrid, we have a replacement, because we don't have Tchouaméni, that of course suspended, that can play the next game.
Carlos, aquí José Padilla, defensa central. ¿Qué le dice?
We're here talking about Arteta, who's doing a fantastic job. He arrived here when I was at Everton in 2020. He's brought this team to the top of Europe. He's doing a fantastic job. And he's built a complete team. There aren't many teams who, I would say, are complete in Europe. There are lots of teams who do certain things very well, but there aren't many teams who do everything as well as Arsenal do.
TV3 Norway, I wanted to ask you a question about a former player you had at Real Madrid.
Who?
Martin Odegaard.
Yes.
As you had in Real Madrid earlier. Why wasn't there a future for him at Santiago Bernabeu? How do you rate him today?
Because when he arrived, as I said, he was really young. He didn't have space to play in the first team, because in front he had Ronaldo, Benzema, James Rodriguez, and he didn't find maybe the space to show his quality. He was really young. He decided to go away to have possibility to play, and I think honestly he did well, because now he's back in one of the most important club in Europe.
Ask the questions, jullie wel eens preguntas.
Carlo, hello. You're Mr. Champions League. I know you've answered about Mikel already in Spanish, but just in English, he's just starting off in his Champions League adventure, relatively speaking. Do you feel that he's doing a good job and he's got a big future at Arsenal?
Arteta,
Yes.
he's doing a fantastic job, of course. He's at the top in the Premier League. He's in the quarter-final of Champions League. From 2020 until now, he did really well. The team is stronger compared the past, and it's going to be stronger in the future. Of course, his job is fantastic.
Última pregunta, last question.
En la calle del periódico dijiste no hace mucho que es casi imposible que los jugadores estén siempre.
It wasn't a long time ago. It wasn't a long time ago that it's very complicated. You know, always ask 100% of your players, because you need to have 100% mental effort. You can't always have like 100% physical level, especially with so many games. It's tough to maintain that. So, you know, perhaps in situations like this at the moment, it's more necessary to have that mental fortitude. We were able to give Asensio a rest the other day because he was really exhausted after playing so many games. And we've had a lot of injuries, which hasn't really allowed us to rotate as much as we would have liked. But having said that, I think the team, nonetheless, having said that, are in a good situation physically. And we can play every game at full intensity. Thank you.